Now, in the Middle Ages, and this arch, probably built around about 1100 AD, in the Middle Ages, there was the altar up here, but there would have been two side altars here. This would be the Jesus altar, and this would probably be the Mary altar. And these would be, there'd be guilds, so that local farmers, for example, would sponsor candles to be burnt at the Jesus altar. Now, the church was extensively altered internally in the 1721 when they stuck the facade on. These windows are new, but this arch and this space here, this is part of the old medieval church. And for a long time, I've sat in the church and obviously listened intensely to the vicar's sermons, but occasionally my eye and attention would wander to the fact that there was a rather odd sort of lump in the wall over here. And one time I went and tapped it and it was clearly hollow. So with the permission of our beloved vicar, who seriously, really was appreciative of him giving me permission, the pulpit would never have been here. Pulpits come in only with the Reformation, really. We'll come to this pulpit in a minute. So literally this week, I brought a chisel and hammer and I cracked open the plaster to discover a piscina. Now, a piscina literally means a water place, and we've heard about how the holy water there would be drained into the church's foundations. You have the priest here doing communion, the bread on a plate and the wine in a chalice. Any that was left over was, of course, in the Middle Ages, considered to literally be the body and blood of Christ. We speak of it much more in contemporary Anglicanism as a memorial, a reminder of, it's a symbol of. But in Catholic thought, particularly in the Middle Ages, it literally became the body and blood of Christ. So it was enormously sacredly powerful. So you would wash it and you would have somewhere that you poured away the remains of the wine and the water that you used to rinse in a very symbolic way the platter. So I long suspected that at this height, and remember the floor has come up by about a foot over the last 500 years, there would have been the altar here, roughly where the pulpit is, and that in here there might just be the last remaining fragment of the medieval church's liturgical structure. So taking a chisel and a hammer, and hoping nobody noticed, I broke in. And there it is. This was filled with a little piece of wood, a little piece of stone, a little bit of wattle and daub. But here is the foundation stone of this area. In here, towards the back, there is a slight dent and dip, which is where the water would have drained. It's been much hacked about, much filled with other rubble and stuff, and it's only in these further exploration. But here we have something that has not been seen or appreciated for probably 500 years, ever since the Reformation, because this was what Catholics did. And so we got rid of it.
And
And
what do they put down there?
Water. So this is, let's imagine you're at the service. So the priest has done the Holy Communion. He's got wine in the cup, which is the blood of Christ. He has the bread that is used for the body of Christ. And he's done the communion. And this will be done every day as a communion service for the dead, mostly, to celebrate, to get the dead out of hell, to pray for them. And at the end of the service, he would have perhaps a few crumbs on the plate. So he'd put a little bit of water on there, swill it around the plate, and then tip that into the chalice, and then swill that around with the leftovers wine and water. And then it would be poured into here, so it could not be used for black magic. It goes again into the foundations of the church. It's, if you like, this is saying, this is so holy. Be careful that it isn't abused. And I think and I've worked with every major religion around the world for many years. One of the things about the sacred and religion is it can produce the greatest saints, and it can produce the most terrible sinners. It's almost the flip side of such wonder is terrible, which is why one has to be careful with notions of the sacred. But here is where, to deal with their fears about the misuse of the sacred in the Middle Ages, they poured it away so no one could get to it. I think what we do today with the sacred is that we sometimes underestimate its power. We think it's nice and safe. Actually, sometimes the sacred asks you to turn your life upside down. It asks you to give up everything that is comfortable. It asks you to lose yourself. And that could be immensely powerful, but in the wrong hands, it can be immensely dangerous. So, this is a symbol of, if you like, the power of the sacred and the fear of misuse.